exactly the same thing. This is a parallel verse that even happens to us today. Some people, I mean, I know it's a thing that we don't want to look at, but in other countries, people get murdered for God's sake. But Jesus says it's because they don't know him. So what we see is just exactly the same thing the early church went up against. They persecuted his disciples, and Peter actually in Second Peter, was it? No, wait a minute. First Peter, my bad. First Peter, chapter 4.
Okay.
Start in verse 12, get the context, and he plainly says what's going to happen. It says, beloved.
Now, before you go, Brother Brian, read that verse 1 again in John 16:1.
All right. John 16:1.
Yeah, what you just read.
Yep. I have said all these things to keep you from falling away.
From stumbling block, from stumbling away. So when I looked at I went to the interlinear while you were expounding, teaching that, further on teaching, I took the liberty to go in and look at what Jesus is meaning by falling away. I got the definition up here, Brother Brian, before we proceed over there to First Peter. Look at what it says here. To put a stumbling block or impediment in the way upon which another may trip and fall. Metaphor: to offend, to entice to sin, to cause a person to begin to distrust and desert one who he ought to trust and obey. Watch this, family. Hold on, we're not done. To cause to fall away, to be offended in one, i.e., to see in another what I disapprove of and what hinders me from acknowledging his authority. Whose authority? Christ's authority. This is what we were dealing with last night. Come on, y'all, pay attention. Watch this. Watch this. To cause one to judge unfavorably, Brother Brian, and unjustly of another. Since one who stumbles or whose foot gets entangled feels annoyed. To cause one displeasure at a thing. To make indignant, almost like ignorant. To be displeased and indignant. Hold on, let's get this Strong's part 2. To entrap. Figuratively, stumble or entice to sin. Apostasy and displeasure, to make, to offend. They are offending God. They are greatly offending God. Oh, Brother Brian.
Yep.
And if you take those two words, fall away, read that verse one more time. I said these things for what?
So you don't fall away.
So you won't have a great falling away.
So you basically, probably more than likely, I wonder if it's the same word used in Thessalonians that talks about the great falling away.
It might. Can we take a brief look at it before we proceed to Peter? Okay, I just want to take a, okay, that you said, is that 2 Thessalonians?
Wicked deception period. So 2 Thessalonians.
Okay.
And the lawless one, and we're killed by the breath of his mouth, the appearance of his coming, the lawless one, with power, and all wicked deception perishes. Now concerning being quickened in on no better.
Is that I think that's chapter, is that chapter 2?
Restraining. Yeah, it's chapter 2.
Okay, 2 Thessalonians.
Sorry, the word.
If this bad boy matches, I am going to holler. Okay. Talks about it up in here somewhere. If I can't find it, we ought always to give thanks to God for sanctification. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is talking about, false delusion. God gave them over to a strong delusion. Um, oh man, where is it? Fall away, fall away. It's up in here somewhere. But if this matches up, this is what Jesus was trying to
Come
put
unless the rebellion.
right.
Rebellion comes first. What word is that? That you said
Uh,
it was
well, I was looking at you talking about
the
what I was
falling
looking at
away, the falling away.
the falling away. That word here. Let me go back. Hold on. Let me go back. One more. Okay, right here. That word here is stumbling block. I'm gonna play it for you so you can hear it.
Strong's G 4624, scandalizo. Scandalizo.
Lisa.
Scandalizo.
Okay, the other one is apostas, which is basically apostasy, the falling away. Huh.
But they
So it's a
hitting
little
on the same thing.
Yep, pretty much. One's skin. I'd have to look more at that word. But
Okay.
basically, they both mean the falling away because this one says in verse 2, chapter 2, verse 2, not to be shaken in mind, either by a spirit or spoken word, a letter seemed to be from us, the fact that the day of the Lord has come. Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion, that's the word we use, come first, and the man of lawless is revealed, who
Mm-hmm.
poses all itself. So the rebellion must come first, which is the apostate, the falling away,
The falling
defection,
away.
apostate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the same. It's pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. I just, that just, triggered my spirit a little bit. But okay, we're on our way to Peter.
Yeah, it was First Peter chapter 4.
Chapter 4. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're here.
Yeah, it talks about it. So, beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as something strange were to happen to you. But rejoice in far as you share Christ's suffering, that you also may rejoice and be glad when His glory is revealed. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and God rests upon you. But let no one suffer for a murderer or a thief, an evildoer, or a meddler. Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in that name. Let it, for a time of judgment, to begin at the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will, so Peter's calling himself a Christian right here, to be honest, what will be our outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God? And if the
Mm,
righteousness scarcely saved, what will become of the godly and the sinner? Therefore, let those who suffer according to God's will entrust their souls to a faithful creator while doing good. So he
mm,
basically says you will suffer as a Christian.